What's up, Disrupt Nation? So my name is Anthony Delgado, and this is the Disrupt Podcast. And today we have a very, very special guest. She is a fitness and nutritional coach, personal development expert, and social media influencer on a mission to inspire the masses through her Lead with Love movement. Lead with Love is a movement catered to millennials, all about cultivating a growth mindset in life. We have none other than Ayesha, Sehra. Ayesha, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
Absolutely. So it's so great to reconnect. I mean, I think we met in person about a year and a half ago, and you came to New York City and you were really on your journey. And it's been awesome to kind of follow you from afar on social media and see you grow and see your business evolve and your YouTube channel and your content evolve. But for people who are discovering you for the first time, can you tell us, how did you get started?
Yeah, of course. So, for those of you who don't know me, I started doing fitness competitions when I was about 17 years old, and I'm 23 now. So, with doing these competitions, I was always really heavily involved in sports my whole life, very active. I loved living a healthy lifestyle. I started sharing my journey on Instagram. So, it was a great time because I feel like not a lot of people were doing that as much as today. It's kind of a saturated space, but I would share my journey competing as a female in the industry. So competing in bodybuilding competitions in the bikini category. And that really sparked my passion for helping and inspiring others to also lead a healthy lifestyle, because there was a great interest of other girls who were wanting to get involved in weightlifting, but afraid of getting too big and muscular. And I really loved sharing my passion because it's not true, and there's so much knowledge to be shared in the fitness industry. So over the years competing, it changed for me. So I competed for 3 years, loved it. I went up to nationals and represented. I'm from Canada, and I represented my province, Ontario. It was a great experience, but within that, I also saw another side to the sport that wasn't always shared on social media. As you know, social media tends to emphasize the highlight reel and not really the trueness and the realness of what actually goes on behind the scenes. And I found that over
Definitely.
competing, I really wanted to just share what it's like to live a healthy lifestyle, and I kind of lost sight of that when I was so hooked up on doing show after show and being so concerned with how my physique always looked, my meals. And by all means, it's great to live a healthy lifestyle, but a healthy lifestyle is a lifestyle that's balanced, and it has your relationships are great. Like, all aspects of your life are in abundant state. And when I was competing, I kind of was only so heavily focused on the one aspect of the physical appearance of my physique. So that kind of shifted the way I started viewing the way I wanted to put out content. And especially when I started coaching young girls, like cheerleading teams, and they were around the ages of 12 to 16. And I would talk to these girls and hear the way they viewed fitness and the way they looked at their bodies. And it really shifted, that moment when I was coaching these girls one summer really shifted my views and really made me question the way I put out my fitness content. So I'm just gonna, long story short, I realized how when young people, I guess we take it for granted when we post a picture of our physique, we don't really show the full story. And a lot of people will compare themselves without knowing how to properly achieve that. And these young girls were telling me that they wouldn't eat, or they were afraid of gaining weight. And it was just issues that at a young age like that, I didn't deal with at 12 years old. And it's just crazy because the generations now, they grow up with their iPhones in their hand, and they're all on Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook and all these platforms. And there can be so much positivity with social media, but then also it can go the other way when you compare yourself to others. So that shifted the way I started putting out my content, and all my content now is very still fitness focused, healthy mindset, but I wanted to encapsulate just living your most abundant life. And that extends to not just how you look, it's how you feel in all areas of your life. So mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, and achieving those goals and living your best life.
Definitely. I mean, it reminds me of there's a quote that I like. it's don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20, right?
Yeah.
So, there's so many people out there that are, you're on social media, you're in like this feedback loop of constantly comparing yourself to really, like you said, the highlight reel. It is, the vacations and the marriages and the wedding proposals, and it's all like people's best moments in life, and you don't see any of the hard work and any, a lot of times people will hide their depression or their struggle, or all of the hardships and adversity that they had to get where they're going. So I guess we can lead in and ask you, about your adversities. Like, what are some of the struggles and things that maybe people didn't see behind the scenes for you to get where you are today?
Yeah, of course. So even when you were saying that, it really hit me, like those things too, like the highlight reels and the good moments. They always do, like those likes you get. It's like instant gratification too. So sharing the not so glamorous moments, people feel like, hey, maybe people won't like it. I know people care about like the followers and the likes, and maybe the engagement will go down on those posts. But honestly, it shifted my mindset, and I think that we need to share those real and raw moments, because I feel like that is relatable, and it's not done enough. But I feel like we're making strides, and then there's those influencers out there who just like share all aspects of their life, and they show up on their story and they explain what's going on, and I think that's really inspiring. So definitely in my journey, just sharing all parts of it. And then when I started coming out with different content compared to just like fitness posts and physique photos, when I started sharing, I started doing videos out in my neighborhood, and they were just like videos on positive mindset and things I would talk about, like abundance mindset versus a scarcity mentality, or being grateful, or just different videos that had positive messages. That was like a jump outside my comfort zone, because all of a sudden I was putting like a voice behind like this physique they would see, or the videos of just me doing exercises in the gym. It was kind of like another side I showed, but it had good and bad. So good was I got so much positive feedback, and I really connected with other people. Like that's how I think we even connected on a different level, because that's how we found each other on social media. And I connected with all these amazing entrepreneurs doing great things, making positive impact. But then I also lost a lot of people who followed my journey from the beginning for the fitness, and people who kind of just like don't really like that content. They're just like, go back to posting workouts, like I just want workout content or things like that. So I feel like staying true to your values and doing what you genuinely want to post about, and staying true to your mission, that is something that you should always stick to, regardless of these external opinions of others, because they're always going to be there, and it's not always easy to just disregard them, but you have to stay true to yourself and your values at the end of the day. And that was probably the biggest thing in my journey.
No, definitely. I think you tend to get like boxed in sometimes, right? Especially, with any niche, whether it's gaming, whether it's fitness, you start posting about a content, whether it's coding, right? You start posting about one type of content, and you get a lot of growth because you're in that niche. And then whenever you try to come outside of that niche, now you're losing followers, you're losing engagement. But to your point, like really just living an authentic life and not being so caught up on the statistics, right? I was actually dating a girl about a year and a half ago, and I remember that every time she used to post on social media a picture of us together, she would lose followers. And she would like posted one picture and then posted another and the next week, and one the next week. And she's like, I think I'm losing followers every time we post a picture together. And it's crazy because, in her real life, like we were having fun together. So she's posting a picture because we're having fun. And then in this social media life, like you're losing statistics and you're losing engagement and all of these numbers that may or may not even mean anything, right? Like if the person is only following you for fitness content, right? And they don't want to hear any other thing that you might have to say, then maybe you don't even need that follower, right? Maybe you want the follower who's more diverse and following you for you, right?
Exactly. And when it transfers into like an ROI perspective in like your business, they're not even clients you would want, like coaching clients you would want to coach because they're not your ideal client.
Yeah, exactly. They just want, they might as well just purchase a Tybo DVD, right? They don't really care who the person is. They just want that one specific thing. And yeah, so I definitely think that's a thing that a lot of brands struggle with is getting themselves stuck in one sort of box. And then when they try to pivot, I mean, even companies get stuck in that box. Like McDonald's is struggling now to try to offer healthy solutions, right? They try to offer a salad or a
Yeah.
shake or a smoothie, right? And they can't. Like, no one takes them serious. They're like, oh, our beef is like actually made of beef now. And like, no one believes them. um, Very cool. So, if there was something that you could have changed early on when you were building your following, what things do you think you would have done differently, if any?
Yeah, great question. I honestly think I would have been more like right now I'm in this mindset. I feel like it's through growing up, like maturing a lot and just being I'm very self-aware and I love to journal and I have a lot of daily practice that I cultivate that really helps me maintain this mindset. But I wish like back then I would just have been more like vulnerable and not afraid, like not hold myself back because of others' opinions. Especially in university, I find that with my peers, I would be afraid to like speak up, or if like people said something about me posting, like I would just like hold myself back versus just I wish I went on YouTube years ago and just shared more of my journey and more just real relatable stuff because I'm just so like I'm very drawn into people who do that, and I wish I just shared more of it back then.
Definitely. So, go ahead.
I was like, it's a different kind of approach. I wish I just was more on social media, even like sharing all parts of it on different platforms and not being so afraid and like holding myself back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think when we met, you had just started your YouTube account, and that was a year ago. And you've been on social media like the last 5 years, and that's something that I've seen with a lot of different personal brands as well. Is like they'll be so niched into one platform, and they don't have the diversity to then move to other platforms. There's a lot of the reverse. There's a lot of Instagrammers. I mean, there's a lot of YouTubers who are now trying to come to Instagram because there's a lot more attention there now, and they're kind of struggling to kind of catch up, if you will, because they haven't been on the platform in the last 5 to 10 years. I have a little bit of a mixed emotions about the two platforms. I feel like YouTube gives you more longevity, like when you post content, it will continue to gather views because YouTube is focused a lot more on search. So like you could create a lot of good content and then actually just completely stop making content, and your YouTube channel will still be getting views. Whereas on Instagram, I feel like it's while there's a lot of attention there and it's easier to gain followers, you almost have to constantly be producing content, and like after a week your content's like almost never going to be seen ever again. um
Yeah, and like even
because
with
there's no real search. I mean, even if I wanted to see your stuff from last year, I would literally have to go on the app and scroll and wait for it to load. Like, it's painful to find old
I know I
pictures.
used to have those story highlights, so you can put like all your good stuff up there. But yeah, I agree 100%. There's YouTubers I've just been meeting when I was in LA, and I was like looking at their content, and I went way back to like 2015 videos to see like their most popular videos. And it's like they're still like I'll like the videos, I'll comment, and it's so true about that. Like you can constantly grow. I love talking about social media platforms and these trends because another thing I was telling a friend of mine, I was trying to convince him to get on YouTube because he always like I feel like he has so much value to share in video form. And one of the reasons I was saying the following you build on YouTube, I find it's a way more loyal and engaged following because they see you in such a different light. Like so much, they see so much more of you, and the videos are long form. And like, so say you have 100 subscribers on YouTube, those 100 subscribers are very loyal and they know you on another level than Instagram.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like those are your ride or die followers that like watch an hour long rant from you in your room or you wherever you are recording, right? Versus, Instagram, it's like this cute picture of a pina colada by the beach, and then it's just like, oh, I like cute pictures.
Yeah.
There's a lot of accounts that are like super aesthetic. And while I enjoy aesthetics, I definitely agree with you that it's not, you're not really connecting to the person. You're just like, hey, that's a pretty picture. I like pretty pictures. I like the colors. I'm going to follow this account, right?
Yeah, and like I listen to a lot of Gary Vee, and he always says like you kind of have to curate content to the platform. So I guess that's how it is with Instagram. Like you have to just it's the way it's changed. Like before on Instagram, you could post I guess lower quality content, and when it was newer, it just did well. Now it's so saturated; everyone's posting like top quality content. Like people will take a picture of a smoothie, but they take it with a DSLR now. Like it's or like really good quality now, and like it's just different game we're playing.
Oh no, or they'll send it to get edited, whether it was shot with an iPhone or a DSLR. Like it'll go through 5 rounds of revisions on Photoshop, and they'll freaking
Like it
enhance
is
the skyline, and the moon will be coming out, and there'll be a shooting star. And I'm like, wait, dude, you're in Brooklyn. There's not shooting stars in Brooklyn.
yeah, 100%. Everything's pre-planned content. Like there's apps. I have a lot of friends who do like fashion blogs. They have like those apps where you can see the layout before you post, so you can see how it'll blend with your feed.
Mm-hmm.
There's like all these. It's a different. It's nice. It's a hobby too. So you gotta love it.
Yeah, definitely. Um, cool. So you're from Canada, right? Born and raised, and now you've been venturing south of the border. We met in New York, and now you've been spending a lot of time in LA. So, tell us, like, what's the culture shift been like, and what are kind of the pros and cons of those three cities?
Yeah. So honestly, LA has been a dream of mine, always to live there since I was young. I don't even know. I never even went to LA when I was young. My first time I went there was actually this past February. But I always was like, that's my place. Like I know I want to be there. Like it's like you have the water, the city vibe. It's just perfect. And then when I went there, honestly, I find the vibe in LA is I really love the vibe. It's very much so about there's like a street vibe, but then there's also like the beachy surfer feel to it. And I find the mentality of everyone I've met when I was in LA just a week ago, even everyone I connected with, everyone's so hungry and chasing a mission bigger than themselves and working hard to accomplish big goals. And there's so much hustle there that the energy is just like no other. And Toronto's got really great energy too. I've loved Toronto I've like grew up here, so it's like a home, but I feel like I'm always the type of person who wants to take it. I always say this, I'd rather be a small fish in a big pond versus like, I'm not saying I'm a big fish, but I'd rather be in that kind of mentality than being like really comfortable in a little pond that I've grown up in and trying to like continue here and build my life here. I want to go where, like play with the sharks, like not saying anyone's a shark, but like make it like go a step up, elevate myself because you have to be in an environment where it's going to really support your growth.
Definitely, yeah. You want to raise your own bar, right? And you're not going to do that around, staying in your comfort zone. I was talking to a colleague of mine yesterday, and I was like, every single time he was like, "Oh, like this feels uncomfortable," and I was like, "Yeah, that's the reason why you have to do it, right?" Like,
You told me that's been really sticking in my head, and I don't know why I keep saying that because everyone's questioning me on my decision to make the move, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm scared." Like they're like, "Aren't you scared?" Like, how does it make you feel? And I'm like, it makes me feel very uncomfortable. Sometimes I feel like sick that I'm like doing the move so fast and jumping into things, and I think about like all the real life aspects, like the financials and like all these other things that I have to make happen. But the fact that I'm like, I have this, like, I'm scared about it. I'm like, I have to do it. I'm like, and you said that to me actually. Yeah, when I met you. I was like, someone said that to me. It was you.
Yeah, it probably was me. I say that all the time. Yeah, that's the KPI. That's how you know when it's time to do something is when you feel like not doing it, you know. Um and for me, every single point in my life when there was something uncomfortable, I tend to choose the uncomfortable because that's where the growth is.
Exactly. And I always say there's no such thing as a mistake or a regret or a bad decision because you learn so much from it. Like if I like I don't think there's such a thing as failure, but like if I have a failure, quote unquote, there's no like nothing's bad in the situation. Like what's the worst thing? I come to Toronto and I continue and I find another way to accomplish my bigger goal. Like there's no I'll just learn and grow and make so many new connections, new experiences. Like there's no wrong decision. So I think knowing that can really and reinforcing those beliefs in your mind will really give you a belief to go after what you want and always choose faith over fear.
No, absolutely. So I just recently moved to Puerto Rico, and I have the same approach to it. I'm like, what's the worst thing that happens? First of all, it's a beautiful city. It's a beautiful place where I am. I'm 3 blocks away from the beach, right? So the worst thing that happens is I come back to New York in a year or two, and I write a book about going to Puerto Rico and like failing to start a business or
And
failing
you
to do whatever I'm doing,
inspire
right?
people doing that too. So it's not even a failure.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when your intentions are genuine as well, like we're doing the pilot program to our school down here. We want to teach kids to code and create a digital economy for 3.5 million people that live here. And, even if I teach one kid, right? Like even now you're mentioning, oh, wow, you're the one that said that to me a year ago, right? So like even if you have one conversation with someone in LA, now you're going to change the trajectory of somebody's life and you had no idea, right? And I think when your goal is impact and you're not so caught up on the stereotypical definition of what success looks like, and your definition of success is impact, I feel like the finances will find a way to get where they need to be, right?
Yeah, I always say to people, sometimes you can't worry so much on the how, but you know like the what. You know what you stand for, you know your values, you know your mission. You don't have to know exactly like A, B, C, D, E, like the how you're gonna get there. It's just gonna work and manifest if the intentions are in the right spot.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, look at a marriage, right? That's like a really traditional example of not knowing the how, right? You meet this person. I mean, traditionally, people even got married quicker than they do today, right? You meet this person, and you don't even know that much about them, and you make a commitment from death do us part until we die. The rest of our lives will be together through thick and thin, right? And through sickness and health. And then you have no idea what the next 50 years are going to look like, right? Like, yeah, you could have kids, you could have fights, you could have struggles, all of these things would happen. And none of that matters because the commitment is we're going to stick together, And I feel like people start businesses or they start careers or they start, whatever their goal is, and they're just really not committed to their goal. And we have really high divorce rates in the United States anyway, and I think a lot of that is to do with mindset. It's like people make commitments and then they don't value them. So one of the things that at Disrupt that we really ingrain into our culture is honoring your word. Like when you say things, you have to do them, take them seriously, or if not, don't say them. And you'll have to figure it out along the way. So the reason that I'm here is someone from Puerto Rico invited me to come to a hackathon, and I agreed to it. And as soon as I agreed to it, I was like, oh fuck, because I knew that as soon as I gave my word to it, now I'm going to have to figure out how to do it. And people don't live their life that way. People live their life like, hey, we'll do lunch sometime, or hey, yeah, I'll be there at 6, and then they never show up. So what was it that drew you to LA, and what made you want to stick around and actually stay there even longer?
Oh, that's a great question. I definitely think First off, I feel like the weather, just giving like a generic answer, it's so true. Like it's always sunny, and I feel like the warm weather and the sun, honestly, too, will really enhance productivity and how you feel and your energies every day. So I already like was drawn to LA for like all those features of LA, but definitely when I was there, the feeling I got and the people I connected with, and I'm very into the law of attraction and speaking what you want into existence and the universe. And I truly believe that the universe will plant different things and different opportunities will come up. You'll meet different people for a reason. Like everything in life happens for a reason. And the time I was just there in July to August, I really like I had so many amazing opportunities and I met so many amazing people, and it was just crazy how like everything was aligning. And then the opportunity, like I would have been crazy to not go back and not take the like ignore the signs of the universe saying you should stay here. It's like pulling me like a tug of war, and I could just like feel the pull to be there. And then with the opportunities that came up with different modeling agencies, and then with the people I've met and some of the projects we're starting. So we're actually like I'm working on a podcast with someone. I'm working with different influencers and helping them build up their personal brands and get their message out to the world. And then the whole fitness culture there and the people there in general, everyone is just on the same frequency, I feel. And all those things like made me feel like it's the right decision. And I feel like the feeling I felt like when I was there and how I feel towards it now, it's like it just feels right. Like I always say, you have to follow your intuition, follow your heart, follow what feels good, and you can't go wrong. And that was what is calling me, and it sits really well with me in my heart right now. So I know if I follow my gut, it won't steer me wrong.
Definitely. Does your family support you in that transition?
Yeah. So it was honestly, it was like it took them a while, but now they're so fully supportive and on board, and I'm incredibly grateful that they are. In the beginning, when I was always saying like, "Oh, I'm going to be in LA. I just don't know when, but it's going to happen." And then I would start to say like, when in the beginning of the trip, I was telling my parents, I'm really close to my parents. They're like my best friends, and I was telling them, I was like, I would love to live here. Like, there's so many great things going on. They're just like, yeah, like LA is not cheap. Like things are going so well in Toronto. You should just like you're 23. Like what's the rush? Like at least wait till you're 25 kind of thing. And then the more great things I've been working on in LA and I was sharing with them, they kind of and then I guess they can feel my excitement when I'm talking about it. They were like, no, like you need to go. We're in full support, whatever it takes. And it's really awesome that they're fully supportive and on board with it, because they're my best friends. And honestly, like without them, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I owe it all to them, because honestly, family's everything. And it's family, friendships, like they mean a lot. So you want to hold those relationships really close forever. And it's awesome that they're in full support.
Definitely. What is like one of your biggest role models or people who've influenced you or inspired you?
Oh wow! I have so many mentors I look up to, but I'll say the first two who come to mind. I actually have someone who I'm. Then there's so many. Okay, so I really genuinely truly love Aubrey Marcus. His book On the Day on Your Life, we just finished reading it. Amazing book. His podcast, everything he puts out, I just find his energy is on another level. So I look up to a lot of people because there's so many amazing figures who put out amazing content and are killing in all areas of their life and preach such positive messages. But something with Aubrey I find that's different is the way he approaches life. So I find I get very caught up in like the entrepreneur life. It's a hustle. Like I love Gary Vee, but he's always like, you gotta hustle. Like you shouldn't be out on the weekend. You should always be working. He's like, I never went out in my 20s. And then I work hard and I compare myself. If I ever take a day off, I'm like, I feel guilt. And I'm just like, why do I feel guilt? Because entrepreneurs, yes, we work hard, but we should also have some balance in our life and make sure we're looking after ourselves in the sense that like we have downtime for ourselves. So like having those days where we take a day off of, we disconnect from our laptop, from our phone, and we read and we turn inward, and we also connect with people in our lives. That's so important. And I find with Aubrey Marcus, he really values that and makes that a clear message. He consistently says that like life is the journey, life isn't the destination. It's all about how you get there. He talked about how his successful company On It, he just started at the age of, it was in his 30s, I think, 35. He started this company, and he was so real about the beginning of his journey, how he had no idea what he wanted to do for the longest time. He kept failing at different things. And that really hit me, because I am 23, but I'm like, oh my gosh, why aren't I making this amount of money each month? Like, you see other entrepreneurs who are like 19, 20, killing it financially, and like Instagram, like they show the highlight reel and it looks like they're living an amazing life, and we can't help ourselves, but we compare ourselves. And Aubrey was just so real and vulnerable in all of his content. And he always says, like, life is the journey, embrace all of it, enjoy all of it. If you can enjoy all parts of the journey and all parts of your life, and inside is always fulfilled, then you're always winning. And that's how he bases success.
Definitely. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of there's another podcaster, entrepreneur, JLD. He has the Entrepreneur on Fire podcast. It's really, really popular. I think he's like 2,000 episodes deep.
Wow.
And he's interviewed like top entrepreneurs. He's interviewed like Gary Vee and Lewis Howes and like you name it. Like, these people have been on the show. And he has another podcast called his Earnings Report, where every month he goes through exactly how much money he's making, and he's extremely transparent about it. And since he's done that, he's it's almost like a global accountability group where, when he wasn't making anything, he was publishing it. Now he's making a shit ton. He's making like a few months ago he hit 200K in a month, and he has a lot of other months where he's making like 150, 160. So he's bringing in over $1 million a year, and it's all from his podcast. But he's transparent. He actually shows you dollar for dollar, where's it coming from? It's coming from sponsorships. It's coming from his ebook. It's coming from X, Y, and Z. And he actually shows you the exact dollar amount. So it's a very bold move when you are transparent, about the ups and the downs, and not being so caught up again on just hustle. It's like, okay, well, what is your goal? Because, if your goal is to have a house by the beach, you can move to Puerto Rico and have a house by the beach, right? And it doesn't cost as much as a penthouse in Manhattan or whatever that is. And so I think, with you even moving to LA, like, you can create the lifestyle you want, and, maybe you don't need an 8-figure empire to do it. You can probably, create the perfect, I don't even want to say work-life balance, but, maybe the perfect lifestyle. And it's not dependent on a single dollar amount, The other trap that I think entrepreneurs, especially like Instagram influencers, get in is they get in this perception trap where it always has to look like you're doing better than you are, right? And when you're lying to the world, you end up lying to yourself. And if things are okay, then why do you have to work any harder, right? Let me even change it a little bit. If you can take the picture that makes you look like you're doing well, then you don't really have to do well, right? So, what do you think entrepreneurs and especially like social media influencers and people in the Instagram space, what can they do to avoid getting stuck in this loop where they're trying to hold up perceptions and they're, essentially lying to the public and lying to themselves?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I honestly think it's something I even always try to work on, because no one's perfect. And like I said earlier, like, I was comparing myself to other entrepreneurs, and I know in our society and the way everything is shaped with social media, and it's really hard to escape that. It's hard to really turn inward, but I feel like having practices where you can self-reflect and be self-aware of how you feel. And Tim Ferriss said, like, a journal is the cheapest form of therapy. And I love Tim Ferriss, and I love everything he stands for and puts out. And I honestly couldn't agree more. I think having that time for yourself to journal out your thoughts, journal out your goals, however way you think, like putting it on paper and just like getting clear, writing affirmations for your life, meditating, different daily practices that fill up your own cup and remind you of your why and different values you want to live your life by, and constantly reminding yourself of those daily really help and makes you happy and fulfilled regardless of anything in your life, because you know who you are, what you stand for, what makes you happy, and what the definition of success means to you. And like we said, like for everyone it's different, and just constantly knowing what you stand for and not letting society dictate your worth or society's definitions of success and happiness affect you, that can be game changing when you're so self-aware of who you are and what you stand for.
Definitely. What is one thing that you think you understand about the social media space that a lot of people just really overlook?
Like a tip with social media, like on Instagram or something?
No, like something, not a tip, not like, hey, like if you do 3 hashtags at 3 p.m., then you get 300 followers. More like broader, like in the whole social media space. What's something that, that I guess people don't understand or people overlook? Like looking from the outside in, it may look like X, but in reality, it's something else.
Yeah. So let me think of this. I think that,
Or like a common misconception.
I think that, like being, I hope I'm answering this in an okay way, but I feel like, showing up. So say your brand represents one thing, and like for example with myself, so I get a lot of messages being like, "Oh, how are you so positive all the time?" Or, "Oh, is life like you're always happy?" But it's I'm human, and I have my moments where I have days.
No, I'm listening. I can only imagine. Like, hey, why are you so happy, right?
Such like I like to share uplifting messages to people and like share like affirmations and things I journal. But I find that when you have like whatever it is you represent, it is okay to humanize yourself and show different parts. And like if you don't want to post it on the feed, like we were saying, like that's okay. Like you don't have to be like some mess up your feed or whatever. But even on story, like I find like on days where I'm really feeling like a low vibration and not my best, I'm like, you know what? Instead of just like throwing my phone away and not wanting to show up on social media, maybe I have a duty to show up, because all these people look up to my, like they follow me and they want to see a post, and you know what? Maybe it's my responsibility to show up and be completely transparent and be like, look, like this is what I'm dealing with, and like not every day is great, and like show up in that light, because I think that that is something that people will relate to and want to see, and it's important to do that. So I think anyone's platform, whatever they represent, like just when you're being authentic and coming from an intention that's pure, that's like what will take your brand also to another level and take the connections you have on social media also way deeper. Because some people wonder on Instagram like why their following doesn't relate or why they're not engaged, and honestly that could be the reason. It's because they feel like you're like untouchable or like at this other level and putting yourself up on a pedestal, because we're truly all the same, no matter where you are in your journey, no matter how much money you make, what your job is, how many followers you have, we're all the same. And that's something that I think people also lose sight of, like when they meet someone. Like I've been meeting a lot of influencers in LA who have like 500k following, and like they're no different than someone who has no following. Like it doesn't matter, but I think social media like puts them as celebrities, so people have that like, oh my god, they're famous, but they're not, they're just normal people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're not like $500,000 or 500,000 times more important than the person with one follower, right? Very cool, very cool. So, what message would you send to all the aspiring social media influencers and entrepreneurs who are out there that look up to you?
I would say to go after whatever your definition of success is, whatever happiness means to you, whatever your goals are. Know that there's no goal that is too small or unattainable. Disregard any of your limiting beliefs, because honestly, the sky's the limit, and the only limit that there is in life is your mindset. So once you tone in on that and you know that you can do anything and the opportunities for you are endless and don't let anyone steer you off that, then literally you can accomplish anything you want and don't let anyone ever tell you differently.
Very cool. I love that. Okay, last question. What does disrupt mean to you?
I love this question. So disrupt for me means to honestly like be polarizing and be different and just be you and be that vulnerable, raw, authentic version of you. And who cares if you're changing the status quo or you're doing something that's not normal or like you have this crazy talent or passion that you want to share that's kind of far-fetched. Like who cares? Like just go be you, be authentic, be different because people like that. Different is good. It's not a bad thing. So kind of just to own that and like disrupt the system, like own who you are.
Definitely. I think in a world where we're all told that we have to be the same, it is the people who disrupt and the people who do things differently that we look up to and we aspire to be. So definitely. Well, Ayesha, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you just being a ray of sunshine and a voice for positivity. If people want to connect with you, where's the best place to do that?
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much for having me, and I would love to connect with each and every one of you. I hang out on Instagram a lot, so if you go follow me at Ayesha Sehra, it's just my first and last name. That's probably the best lot because I'm on there a lot, and I love to connect. So shoot me a DM, and we can just talk about our goals and anything positive and anything uplifting, even like talk social media strategy. I love to talk about any of that stuff too.
Definitely. And if people want to find out more about your one-on-one coaching programs and your mindset programs and your social media mentorship, where's the best place to do that?
Yeah, so everything's on my Instagram, my website links, and everything like that. So they can reach out via Instagram or on my website, which is just my first and last name.com. And then you can reach out that way too. And that also connects to my email.
Absolutely. So for the guests, we will put the links in the show notes. It's AYESHASEHRA.com. Ayesha, thank you so much for being on the show. Definitely appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me. I had such a great time.
All right. Take care.